Reading and approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any additions, corrections, discussion? Lacking any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Minutes are carried. Bills and communications.
Looks like we have a NICEAG bill that came in for $144.68. I paid that on December 22nd via online. Then you see we also have the Q4 invoice for Cayuga County Development Agency for $15,455.34. And that gives you the breakdown of the service contract, our operating expenses, and the fee share that is listed. And then you'll see we have the Aurelius taxes in the amount of $2,527.38.
There a motion to approve the bills.
I'll move.
Motion made and
I'll
seconded.
second.
Thank you. Discussion on the bills. All in favor of paying our bills?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Report of the treasurer, Taylor.
The profit and loss budget report shows we had interest on a savings account of $249.35. Membership dues of the $275. The miscellaneous administration $77.76. Your administrative services for the $5,000 CETA fee share of the $10,227.72. Your contract services were $15,227.72. You see your facilities and equipment for the -$22,865.79.
That's a year-end audit journal adjustment.
All right.
So every year, so the work on the sewer line, we track it on the P&L, but then the auditors just make us move it to construction in progress. So I did the journal entry to make that adjustment. So that's why that looks like that.
Then we have the postage for $149.86. The industrial park maintenance. Your total expense for the month was $10,261.55. Will left you a income of $10,535.88. At the bottom, you see the breakdown of all the bank accounts. All your pilot payments have been made and dispersed, so your restricted is just at $10,023. And then you see.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Am I assuming then, since we have not received any bills, I do this every year, I think. Rick, are you on the call?
Rick is not. He said he's going to be late.
Oh,
he was in a previous meeting, but he will be joining.
So he just does not want to get paid this year?
So I know that he was doing some in-kind services in relation to the tax bill that we had for that property transfer. So I think that covered.
But it looks like we didn't pay him anything this year, correct?
Yeah, but we paid an extra $2,000 or $3,000 in taxes the previous year. So I mean, neither has submitted an invoice.
Okay. Okay, all right. We're good.
Then you scroll down, you see the breakdown of your CETA fee share. That's the $10,227.72 was the 20% share.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved. I'll second.
Thank you. Questions for the treasurer? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Unfinished.
So I have a few items I wanted to update you on tonight related to various projects. First of all, on the sewer line, we have been working with Probst to finalize the construction drawings to submit for final approval from DEC. I've also been in touch with Dave Botar about the EDA funding. And he is going to, I guess the regional EDA person was on vacation until today, so I'm going to follow up with Dave Botar after he has a chance to have a conversation with that regional person, just to see where they are in the application process. But the good news is any costs incurred after the submission of an application can be included in that grant request. So as long as we can get the grant application in prior to starting the Eagle Drive line, we can still include it in that grant request. It's just a matter of, if for some reason we don't get to the grant, we will incur those costs. So I'm working out the logistics of all of that. The town is provided with the construction drawings as they are, the engineering as it exists right now to provide feedback. And I think Chris was just finalizing everything to get over to DEC. And the city of Auburn has offered to allow us to use their bidding system for this project. Given the scope and scale of it, it may be helpful to utilize a professional bidding system of that nature. So Seth Jensen was able to confirm that they would be willing to do that if we would be interested in working with them on it. And basically what that does is it just puts it into a system where contractors are already looking for bids, and it allows us to, any interested bidder can sign up for notification. So if there's any changes to the bid package, they'll be notified automatically. And it automatically gets it out to a broad range of contractors. And I think that system will be helpful in the bidding process. So, but I just want to confirm with the board that you're comfortable utilizing that system in collaboration with the city before we go ahead and put anything in there. But for a project of this magnitude, I think it would be helpful to have that service.
How close are we to being ready to start this bidding process?
Honestly, I think it's a matter of weeks, like a couple of weeks. I think we just need to get the drawings into DEC, and then they'll be finalizing the bid package.
Okay, and my understanding is we're bidding the whole project, but we're only going to do the smaller part first and make sure that the funding is coming through for the other part. Is that right?
That is correct. So we are going to put it out to bid as a two-phase project, but bid the whole thing. So we are going to have the contractors bid assuming 2 mobilizations, and that way we're fully aware of what that cost is up front. So that is exactly right, Kurt.
I personally think that there's nothing, as long as you recommend, I would agree that we should go with the city's bidding proposal there. And is there any reason for us to give you permission today to continue with that before our next meeting?
I am hoping that we're going to get that contracting out before our next meeting. That is my hope. So, but I don't think we need an official motion as long as there's no concerns.
That's what I was asking. Do you want a motion to go with the city's bidding proposal?
Wouldn't hurt.
I would move that we use that system as long as it's recommended by Tracy.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, that we allow executive director to proceed with the bidding process from the city. Have we had any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Before I move on, we did have someone else join by phone.
It's me, it's Ben.
Hi, Ben.
I'm a little late.
So the other thing related to the sewer line and Probst is that once we get to the bid documents, that ends their current scope. And I'm looking for some guidance as to if you would like them to continue on or submit a proposal for the next phase of the project in terms of final construction documents and some of the other final engineering work that's going to need to get done. Or if you would like to bid that out for other bidders as well. They can provide a wide array of services related from the time of bid to the completion of the project. So I figured the engineering work would make sense to leave with them, but I wanted to confirm that with you before we went too far down the road so that we can bid if we need to.
The trouble we had before we had them working on it, I would think we should stay with them if you recommend that, Tracy. And if so, I would make the motion that we stay with them for the next phase of this project.
Second.
Thank you. I think that's the right idea. Any further discussion on continuing with Probst?
I think we've been happy with everything, right?
Yeah, they've been really good about working with our partners too and keeping everybody in the loop.
Yeah, I mean, the only exception is the DEC, but that's not their problem.
Will it be any problem during the construction phase and being so far away?
I don't think so. I think we'll probably want to make sure that we have someone local kind of GCing or managing that construction process. But in terms of the engineering work, I don't think it should be a problem.
I think you should bring that up with them, that we need somebody local on top of the situation when we start construction.
Like the clerk of the works,
I'm sorry, like a what?
like the clerk of the works.
Yeah, someone who's just kind of overseeing
Yep.
who's on site, doing what, making sure it's getting done right.
Yep. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
So that is really the only updates on the sewer line at this point. Again, it's going to be kind of a rush to get that first section done for CMI, but we've worked through some of those issues with the local partners. And
Are you keeping them up to date on what's going on?
yeah, so we're keeping CMI up to date, and we're engaging the city and the town on all those conversations. So yeah, so there's kind of parallel paths happening there, and everything's just kind of happening at the same time, but it's fine, it'll get done. The other couple of projects I wanted to mention is that A1 Pumping has decided to terminate their pilot. It has to do with a financing deal that they're doing, and their bank doesn't want the IDA in line on the title. So that paperwork is in process right now, and they'll be foregoing the last year of their pilot agreement. They only had a couple $1,000s worth of benefit left, but anyway, it's kind of a strange request because the IDA signs off on mortgages and financing all the time, and they don't need to terminate the pilot, but for whatever reason, their bank is requesting that. So we're processing that. And then,
What is their bank?
sorry, what was that?
What bank is initiating this?
I asked you that the other day, so I wouldn't use them.
I'm actually not sure. We've been dealing with their lawyer, the bank's lawyer. So I'm actually not even sure what bank it is.
Thank you.
If it's such a minimal amount, could we just release the application for the title and continue with the plan?
No, that is actually what puts them on the roll section 8, which is what gives them the exemption. So without that, us being in that title, it takes them back onto the taxable rolls.
Right, so there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it's just the mechanism of how it works. Yeah, but they've worked with us plenty of times, and they got a couple of additional sales tax exemptions, so it all kind of evens out at the end. And then the other project is Page Trucking reached out, and they just needed a few extra months again on their sales tax. So we're just extending that out to June 30th for them. Yeah, I think that's driving. So that was the other one that came up recently, but we're processing that paperwork as well. It doesn't seem like there'd be any issue with that. They just have 2 major invoices left that they expect will be done by the end of April, but wanted to give them a little wiggle room, so that's that. And then just a heads up that next month we'll be switching over to Zoom for our meetings. That our go-to meeting subscription is expiring, and we decided to switch over to Zoom. So you'll be getting a new login next month. And then
Still be able to call in.
yep, you'll still be able to either call or log in from a computer. And it'll be pretty similar to what we're using now, just arranged a little differently. And then the last thing is, I realized the other day that the CCIDA CETA contract is up. It expired with the county contract at the end of December. So next month I'll be bringing back to you guys a contract for 2021 through 2023, which again aligns with that county contract. So if there's anything that you want to address in that contract, just let me know, and we can address it before the next meeting. And I think that's it.
Any questions on staff updates?
The what assessments? Oh, yeah, we need your evaluation forms too. Taylor, how many are we waiting on? Taylor only has 2 of your evaluation forms. So if you need it again, just let us know, but please do fill them out because the governance committee will be meeting to review them prior to the next meeting, I believe, right? Prior to the February meeting. So please get those back to us.
Tracy, could you just confirm the email you haven't received? Because I thought I sent mine, but I don't, it's been a while.
Yeah, I think I sent my armor.
Taylor says she has Andy's. And Ray's. Doesn't look like she has, Gina doesn't look like she has yours.
Would you send them out again?
Yeah, we'll
Send them out
them
again.
back out. Yes,
She is going to send them again?
yes.
Okay.
Are we guys open?
Ready. So, the last page of your packet, Taylor was able to get in touch with all of the ready recipients. This is the Resiliency Economic Development Initiative funding for projects in Sterling and along Lake Ontario, even in Sterling along Lake Ontario as a result of flooding. In Cayuga County, there were 4 projects that were awarded funding. Of those 4 projects, there are 3 owners, so there's 1 applicant that has 2 projects. Given that there's only 3 owners, we felt in talking to Justin, the way to approach this would likely be to obviously we need to waive the minimum project cost requirement because all of these projects are less than, I think it's $500,000 this group has set, but as a whole, it's more than $500,000. Look at doing a sales and use tax abatement only, and then having each applicant submit an application individually. Once we have all the applications, we can then compile them into one larger project. Justin said that this is what they're doing in other counties, where they're compiling everything into one project just to streamline all the paperwork. And then we can assign each applicant as an agent of the IDA on that one project. This will not only streamline the upfront paperwork, but it also streamline the reporting and monitoring. So it kind of simplifies the whole process on the back end administratively and reduces costs related to it. One thing to know is that the sales and use tax itself counts towards this local match that's required, but also anytime that we reduce a fee, that can also count towards the local match. So, one thing we could look at is waiving the application fee as well, or splitting the small project fee among the applicants so that each one is technically receiving a savings, but we're still getting, the full application fee from all of them. And those are just more ways to kind of amp up that local match a little bit.
Who's responsible for the local match?
It has to be a local municipality or a local agency of some sort. Each project contains the ready funding and owner equity. So the applicants themselves put in money, and then the local match comes from a local municipality or agency.
And you don't know who that might be?
Well, that local, that's what we're trying, that's the role the IDA, or we're trying to have the IDA play, is that local agency.
Will we actually put in any money of the funding or just the forgiving of fees?
It would just be the forgiving of fees and the incentives, no cash outlay.
That's what I was asking. Thank you.
So basically the way what we would see if we wanted to move forward with this, the next steps would be we'd go back to the applicants, we'd work with them on their applications, and then probably next month we would bring those applications to you as a package. With one, you would see all three applications, but then one cost benefit analysis, and you would approve them. We might have to go through a public hearing process depending on where that final benefit ends up. We might not have to. We won't know that until we have all the numbers. But if you wanted to approve this, we would then approve it as a single project as opposed to 3 separate projects. That's all. That's the recommendation if we're interested in doing this. I also know that there is a solar project kicking around in Sterling right now, so we might or might not see that in the coming months, but it doesn't look like they're ready to apply for a pilot quite yet. Any questions on that? Any thoughts?
Well, should we waive the fees then?
It's up. Andy would like to know, or is asking if we should waive the fees, what we should do about the fees, which is one thing we'll have to work out to move this forward. So how do folks feel about the, well, we'll start with the application fee, which is usually $250 per applicant. Do we want to collect that or waive that or reduce it? Any thoughts?
I would think we would wait until we see the applications. Can we do that?
Yeah. We can go back, we can let them know that we'll decide on the application fee after seeing the applications.
You could tell them we're considering it, but I would like to look at the applications before we decide.
Same thing for the admin fee, the administration fee. Okay, we can do that.
Like, is it easier for us just to have a set guideline, Tracy, or is it, if you think in your opinion, it's okay to kind of pick and choose?
I think we would need to do the same thing for each project. but I think it's okay to wait to see the applications before making that decision. Like, I wouldn't waive the fee for one and then not another.
Right.
Right.
But I think it's okay to kind of look at the applications and see what the final number is in terms of I think maybe your point is to see what the actual benefit is gonna be, and if it's meeting the local match requirement, maybe it's worthwhile to collect the fees.
That's why I would hold off until we see the applications.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something to meet the local match, so, right?
Well, so we can move forward with this process with the caveat that the fees will be considered upon seeing the application and the final benefit. Is that, since this is a special program, it would be helpful if that is outside of our kind of normal process. It would be good to have a motion from the board on this.
Today?
Yeah.
What are we gonna be voting on?
Moving forward with this process with consideration of the fees once the applications are received.
So,
Motion made and seconded, and we move forward with the proposed outline. Is there any further discussion about that? All in favor? Is there any opposed? Carried.
That's all I got for you.
New business.
I have no new business.
Is there a need for?
I move we adjourn till next month.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I
Bye.